Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight at Outdoors and Engage, how outdoor education programs can connect youth to nature. My name is Bert Edwards. I'm with Friends of the Columbia Gorge and will be your moderator and host. We'll just take a couple of moments while we're all logging in and getting settled. So let me do a little bit of Zoom housekeeping just for all. Just with so many of us here tonight, we will be using the webinar feature of Zoom. So to make sure that we can hear and see the panelists in the best way possible. The cameras and video will be off for regular attendees. However, you're a vital part of the conversation tonight and really want to have everyone get involved. We will be, once each of the speakers finishes the opening remarks, starting the panel discussion and bringing in questions from the audience. Please feel free to add your questions to the Q&A section. We'll try and keep an eye on both the chat box and the Q&A box. But if we get a lot of questions, we might miss them in the chat box. So try to put them on the Q&A box. Depending on whether you're visiting us tonight using a mobile device or a desktop, that might either be the top of your screen or the bottom of your screen. If you don't see Q&A, sometimes it hides underneath the more button depending on your device. And actually, just to get things started, I wanted to throw a question out to the audience. What does outdoor school mean to you? And for those that had a chance to go to outdoor school, at what age and where did you go? Again, what does outdoor school mean to you, and at what age did you have a chance to go? And as you have questions, as the folks are speaking, just feel free to put your questions in, and then again, we'll get into the Q&A session after we kind of get the panel discussion going. Tonight's presentation is made possible by 4 organizations who've worked start to finish on this. So in addition to the speakers, staff members, board members for all these organizations, I can't thank them enough for making tonight possible. So I want to thank CultureSeed, Friends of Tryon Creek, and Gorge Ecology Outdoors. Again, I'm Bert Edwards, representing Friends of the Columbia Gorge. And for those of you unfamiliar with Friends, Friends of the Columbia Gorge is the only conservation group entirely dedicated to protecting, preserving, and stewarding the Columbia Gorge's scenic, natural, cultural, and recreational resources for future generations. We'll be talking tonight a lot about how you can connect land and youth. Before doing that, would like to share our land acknowledgement. One intersection of conservation and people is in our land acknowledgement. You've probably heard a land acknowledgement being given at various function events. This is actually a very, very old tradition, and they're called land acknowledgements, but they're really, really acknowledgements of the people who originally walked and cared for the lands, as well as their descendants who still do so today. In the Columbia Gorge, that means recognizing the 4 treaty tribes, the Warm Springs, the Yakima, the Umatilla, and the Nez Perce. Each of these tribes have treaty rights to the lands and waters of the gorge. In addition, there are reestablished tribes of the Cowlitz and Grand Ronde and unrecognized Chinook people. All of these tribes represent the original caretakers of the gorge, and their efforts continue to benefit all of us and generations to come. So I see we have a fair amount of folks that have now been able to join us. So without further ado, I would like to welcome each of the speakers to our virtual stage, so to speak. They'll each have about 6 to 8 minutes to talk a little bit about their work, what they do, how they came to outdoor education. We'll then all come back together for the panel discussion. I have a couple of questions that we've come up with to start the discussion, but again, we want to bring you guys into the conversation. So let me first, and I'm just going to go in alphabetical order here in welcoming our speakers. So let me first welcome Adrienne Acosta. Adrienne, please could turn your camera on and join us. Adrienne is a board member with Gorge Ecology Outdoors, and she is also an educator and Hood River County School District Administrator. Welcome, Adrienne.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. And, I feel honored to kind of be here and be part of this, and to have the chance to speak on behalf of Gorge Ecology Outdoors. I'm a new board member. I joined their board this past spring. And it's been really engaging and educational to kind of be part of something that I've seen from a teacher's perspective and now get to be part in the planning and organization of everything. So I'm going to present a little slideshow here. I'm going to do my best. Nope. Let's see. Green. All right. So you guys should be able to see this. So this is just our logo there. So we go by geo. And a little bit about us, you know, we really want to nurture every child's sense of belonging and connection to the outdoor world, and through experiences and education. We are the only Gorge-based nonprofit dedicated to connecting youth with the outdoors, getting kids out there, hands-on, experiencing it firsthand. A really awesome kind of factoid here: since 1996, we've had over 25,000 kids in our various programs. So we're really proud of that. The importance of our program and organization: we know the value that a sense of place provides to people. It gives them those opportunities to learn and connect with their community and the natural surroundings. Place-based education is relevant to all people's lives. We encourage them to take pride where they live. We live in a really amazing, beautiful place that's unique. So we want to connect people to the world around us and be informed about it and be able to be contributing citizens. And then another kind of piece with just that educational aspect and looking at our youth today, we know that childhood obesity, depression, anxiety have increased in the past 2 decades as time spent outside decreases. So, you know, we take it pretty serious that we have an impact on that, and we can get people to get outdoors and get active. So we have 5 major programs that we offer. Secrets is for our 4th and 5th graders. We serve students from Troutdale all the way down to like Wishram, Dufur, across on both sides, the Washington and Oregon side. So 4th and 5th graders get the Secrets program. It's a 9-week-long ecology curriculum, and it culminates with a community day and a day-long field trip where the kids spend the entire day outdoors. And they learn, they're focusing on the ecosystems. They do lots of hands-on, they have songs and chants, and it's something that kids that are well beyond their elementary years remember, and it sticks with them. We offer outdoor school. So our outdoor school, as we coin the term, is for middle school students. So typically 6th grade. The past couple of years, it's been 7th graders. Just with COVID, the 6th graders that missed it got to go in 7th grade. And this is where the kids spend multiple days outdoors, more of a social emotional wellness connection to the environment. A lot of that team building, kind of silent time, really connecting with the world around them. And then we have Gorge Explorers, which is for targeting 3rd grade students. And this program is more of an intervention. So it has like some reading intervention components layered in to the hands-on learning, the stewardship focus. This happens in the summertime. It's a 6-week program. And the kids get to, again, be outside, getting some academic focus while also connecting with nature in the outdoors. And then our outdoor wild learners, some people it might go by owls to some, is for our after school program. So we have Excel and Reach, which are both grant funded after school programs in the Gorge. And they partner with GEO to provide this after school program. So again, for elementary students, lots of hands-on. They'll do local, like going out into the schoolyards, going on kind of walking field trips, seeing what's in their immediate area. doing that real, getting those hands in the dirt, studying the creatures and the plants and things that are around them, to grow that connection. And then our latest, this is a newer program for us, is Rivers for All. So we've been taking youth rafting on the Klickitat, which is, if anyone's been rafting, it's a memory that you'll always remember. And we've been working with tribal groups, the Next Door, which is based out of Hood River, Reach, the after school programs, to get students 9 years old and older out on the river, and just getting them to experience, like, firsthand, in your face, some of the recreation and just natural resources that we have here in the Columbia River Gorge. And then we have some contact info if anyone's curious, and I think the presenters will be sharing some of this with everyone later. All right, and so then I'm going to introduce Asnaldo Benitez, and he's going to speak next.
Hello, thank you, Adriana. That was excellent. I was taking notes while you were talking. So yeah, my name is Asnaldo Benitez, and I am the Outdoor Program Director and Young Men's Peer Circle Guide for CultureSeed. And I'm new here to the Gorge, 10 months. I come by way of Colorado. A little bit about CultureSeed. CultureSeed is unique in that we offer year-round place-based programming, as well as services for family and youth. We are a non-therapeutic mental health focused organization on nature, wellness programs that include outings and sharing circles. Right now, we're active in about 3 counties, 4 towns. There's a 5th, which would be the Dells, and I'll explain that in just a moment. So all of our counties that we service right now are on the Washington side, and the Dells is the Wasco County in Oregon that we're also providing services in. We have peer circle models that are about 6 to 8 young people, young men's and young women's in an identity circle as well, for gender nonconforming or non-binary youth. The way that we organize is that we have 1 outing a month and 2 peer circles a month. So we're seeing the youth 3 times in that month. And then now that we're located at the youth center in White Salmon, we have drop-in after school kind of informal opportunities to see youth, and also have some of the food from our partners in Bingen, from the food shelter, the pantry. So we have that as a resource as well. What we have in Oregon is in NORCOR, it's the Northern Oregon Corrections. It's a program that's called YCC. It's the Youth Care Center. And so there we have a young men's circle of right now 6 youth. In total this year we have, where did I write this down? About 30 youth that we have in our programming. And in this last year, a cumulative of 87 youth, including White Salmon Academy. White Salmon Academy youth make up those other numbers. So that covers us in the Gorge, and by no means is this completely comprehensive. These are the notes that I kind of put together today prior to presenting. But I did also make a note here, and thank you, Bert, for the land acknowledgement and putting this together. Friends of the Columbia Gorge, thank you, everyone. I wanted to add a note and appreciation, honor the Yakima, the Wasco, Wishram, Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde, and the Chinook people, who have stewarded not only the land, but also the social, emotional, spiritual, and physical health of the community. So yeah, along with that, a little bit about my background. I finished a master's program in 2019. It was a dual major master's program from the University of Wyoming in the School of Ed through the SMTC, which is the Science Math Teaching Center in Natural Science Education. After that, also the School of Sustainability, the Hobbs School in Environment and Natural Resources. So yeah, that's a little bit about myself, CultureSeed, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation that we have and the rest of the panelists that we have. Like I said, I was taking notes, listening to Adrienne speak, and as I've heard from Jenny, and I'm seeing folks writing in the chats, I'm real excited to continue this conversation. So at this time, I'd like to pass the mic to Jenny. Thank you.
Thanks, Benito. Let me get to the right spot on my, oops, on my computer. Of course, there's always these technical things that have to happen, right? To the right spot right here. There we go. Hopefully you all can see that well. I am also very honored to be here. I love, this is one of my favorite things to talk about is outdoor exploring camp. So I know Adrienne had a chance to tell you a little bit about Gorge Explorers, which is the program that I actually help run in the summer for North Wasco County School District students. I'm a English language teacher, elementary, in North Wasco, and I work with another teacher and an instructional assistant along with Drew Eastman, who is with Gorge Ecology Outside. And we've created a program that's been running for about 14 years. It began with a vision of just really connecting kids with the ecology of the area. The length of the camp has changed, some of that due to COVID, but the goals always were and always will continue to be to expose kids to the ecosystems that are so rich around our Columbia River Gorge, to really acknowledge the land and the people, the stewards that took care of this, the First Nation people that took care of the land and the river for so long, to ensure opportunities for place-based learning outside of the classroom to get kids out. We do have some connection to bridging learning between the spring and the fall so that students don't lose things, that loss of learning. They take a lot of that learning that we have in those packed weeks and hopefully take it with them throughout the summer. And then most importantly, develop an understanding of what it means to be a steward in our area and take care of our place and our space. And we target specifically incoming fourth graders who really just are going to be then going on and doing the Secrets program within Gorge Ecology Outside. So it kind of gives them some background knowledge, especially language learners or underserved populations that might not have that language rich in their homes or are still learning our language. And so it kind of gives them a little background knowledge and help with the vocabulary and an understanding of the shrub steppe ecosystem, which is the ecosystem in and around the Dalles. And of course, we love to talk about having adventure. So our motto is on to adventure. And that's what we focus on. We house our program within the Columbia Gorge Discovery Center, which is one of the most beautiful places in the Dalles. And that gives us opportunities to explore within that museum and that cultural area, but mostly the education that we do is outside. And it has changed to be a Monday through Friday program due to COVID. We try to target for 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, depending on what we can squeeze in. We're hoping to expand it more to longer in the future. And students learn about 5 concepts: geology, the study of the rocks and the land in our area, and how to serve and protect it, and be good protectors of the land and the water. So we study hydrology and the importance of water within our area. We study botany, and then do a more study on zoology, so the study of plants and animals in the gorge, and it's very hands-on, tactile, and then a correlation to more STEAM type activities. And then we study the First Nation people who actually took care of the shrub steppe and came to trade into the shrub steppe area. So this are materials from Jefferson Green, who is a tribal educator out of the Warm Springs Reservation, and he has spent significant amount of time working with our students to teach them about the culture and the legends of his people. And then we do field trips. Thanks to Geo, we have gone rafting with Rivers for All. We do spend a significant amount of time in the Columbia River Gorge. You'd be surprised how many students live within a mile or less of this beautiful river and yet have never had an opportunity in all the years that they've lived here to actually even touch the river. So we get in it and we explore it. Our primary goal, again, besides having adventure, is stewardship, taking care of something that is here for all in the future. We really want to make that a central part of whether or not they leave taking care of something important in their lives. And you can see some boys down there are taking care of the insects that live in our ecological area, making them a bug house. We do also have high school counselors that help with our program. They're amazing, and they receive community service hours as well as some stipend pay for their time and their energy, and they really do an amazing job of taking care of our explorers. And then support for our program comes through many facets, but we take grant and nonprofit funds with Gorge Ecology Outside, and then we use some federal budget dollars directed through North Wasco that are dedicated to students of underserved populations. We are housed generously by the Columbia Gorge Discovery Center, and then we have great volunteers from the Forest Service and the Geological Service, and of course, always generous donors and volunteers that just want to come and experience outside with our students. And then, of course, ways that you can contact us if you need to. So I look forward to having continuing discussion and sharing more about Gorge Explorers Outside. So I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan Hayden, who's the Ed Program Manager for Friends of Tyron Creek.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jonathan Hayden, and I am the Educational Programs Manager for the Friends of Tryon Creek at the Tryon Creek State Natural Area. A little bit about me. I am new to this area. I'm only here, but I've only been to the Portland area for 3 years. I'm originally an educator. And so I've always valued education in all its different forms. And so when I came out here to Tryon Creek and found a home working here, education has been something that has become a passion of mine. But before I get into that, let me tell you a little bit about Tryon Creek and who we are. We are an organization originally started in 1970, an organization because a group of women got together to protect this area and turned it into a preserved natural area. So we are 650 acres of land in Southwest Portland. And so we serve a community of Southwest Portland, the Lake Oswego area, and all around. And we do many things here in the park, but specifically, we look to value authentic narratives. We look to invest in the community. We look to establish relationships. And we also help reciprocity, stewardship, caring of the land, which is part of what we do and what we all should want to do. Specifically for me, my job as educational programs manager is to create educational programs that are aligned with our vision, our mission, and our strategic plan, as well as co-create and work with organizations to create programming that facilitate, develop connections to the natural world for the whole community, specifically communities of color, culturally specific organizations, and park neighbors and other visitors. So how do I do that? Well, this is fun for me. This is one thing I can say every day that I come here. I enjoy what I do because I get a chance to create connections with people through education. And so the ways we do that here through our educational programs, we have 3 that I work on specifically. Tryon Forest Adventures, which used to be our nature day camps. We have a winter and a spring and a summer camp. We also have our internship, which is a partnership, the Tapping Roots internship, which is a partnership for Black and Brown identified youth who are interested in learning about environmental education and making careers in environmental education and giving back to the community. And also I work with field trips with the schools. We try to create programs for the schools to come out here where kids can learn about the environment, get touch and get a feel of what it is to be out here. And hopefully we're inspiring kids to want to either learn more, maybe find a career, or just come back and visit us and work with us. We need volunteers all the time. So our work is the work I do is very important, and education is very important to establishing connections to the community. Let's see. I mean, I could go along all day about what I do, but I think specifically why I got into doing this line of work. At Tryon, we've tried to change our strategic plan to center more and focus more around the community, the growing community that's happening, more than just the Southwest and Lake Oswego area, but the entire community all around Portland. And as a man of color myself, a BIPOC individual, I want to make sure that people like me are also welcomed in the park and people like me feel cherished and can connect like I did. So working through programs like our culture camp, our Tapping Roots, and our field trips is a way that we do that. We try to incorporate as much as we can through diversity, equity, and inclusion in our programs. So we make sure that we try to, through our work, we resemble what it is that we're doing. We want our kids to see each other. We want kids to be able to see each other, see other people that resemble like them, and be able to feel a part of this community like I do, like others have. So we really try to truly try to build programs that address not only what people are looking for here at the park, but also to inspire and cultivate and to learn. We do some of the same similar things at our park that my colleagues have mentioned. We do a land recognition every time we do programs. We work with, we're working with right now, I work with Portland State University, with college students to do our field trips. Our field trips are for the schools to come out, to see what we do, to learn about what we do. We create programs for the schools. We have curriculum that engages the youth. And we try to get them to understand and recognize that the community, that outdoor education, the forest community itself is something that they can be a part of, they can cherish, and they can appreciate and teach others. Let's see. Tapping Roots. Tapping Roots is something new that we've done. Tapping Roots started last year, and it's in a partnership with some great organizations. Camp ELSO, the Beam Initiative, and the Blueprint Foundation, and Wild Diversity. We're all partnered together to do this program, which is an internship for 20 youth. The youth come and they work with us through symposiums. They work not just with our organization, but with all 4. And we provide symposiums that teach them, educate them, and prepare them about educational careers and opportunities. Plus, we give them an opportunity in the summertime to work with us through internships. So this past summer, I had 4 of our Tap and Roof youth working with us in the park and working with our kids. It was a great time. They did a wonderful job, and that's the way we get, one of the ways that we give back. This year we have a new cohort coming up, and we will be doing that again and choosing kids, and we will have year number 2. Let's see, for our field trips, we changed a little bit this year, but our field trips are here at the park. We try to offer schools, and this is one of the problems that we face, that a lot of people face, is transportation now, with schools trying to come out and trying to get here. But we offer a program for schools that come out and to learn about what we do, and just to have some fun. And then finally, going back to our Tryon Forest Adventures, our camps. Our camps have been around. That's our oldest. They've been around for over 50 years, the camps. And our camps have, each year we generate at least, in the past, we've at least 900 youth for the summer, dealing with half day, full day, and our counseling and training. This year, this summer, we had a condensed camp. And this summer, we were able to have a successful camp with about 400 kids, but we serve the kids through full day, in which they come out here and spend the whole day with us from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it's for ages 7 to 12. And we work with the kids. Through program, we take them on hikes, we do activities, we try to do some cultural engagement. We do anything we can to get the kids to appreciate and to be engaged with us out here. And it's been a success, like I said, for over 50 years. So these are some of the things that I do and some of the work that I do that I'm very proud of. And as we talk more, you'll learn more about that as we get into other questions. I'd like to turn it back to everybody, to my other colleagues, ask them to turn on their cameras, and so we can go into our panel discussion.
Great, thanks, Jonathan. While folks are turning on their cameras, again, want to encourage everyone to please ask questions, add comments in the Q&A box. We want to have this as a dialogue, and I have a couple questions to start things off while questions and comments are kind of queuing up. And actually, I want to take the initial question that the panel had discussed and amend it with something I saw in the chat box, because I think this will pair well, and I know the panel will have a lot of thoughts on both of these 2 questions. So I thought I'd kick things off with asking the panel to talk a little bit about why you feel it's important for children to be connected to nature and the land. And the twist on that was also to hear the panel talk a little bit about what are the differences, or do you think that they're same, between outdoor education and outdoor school?
Are you directing that to any of us, Bert? Or?
Yeah, I think any of you, yeah, jump in.
Okay.
Well, I'll start. I think the first part of your question had to do with why there's an importance to the connection of being outside. I believe for many of us, we all have a connection to nature and in some way. And that connection comes with some experience we may have had as a child. We kind of asked the question about whether or not there was an experience with outdoor school or outdoor education. And there is a connection, and we want to pass that on. For many of our students who are in maybe stressful home lives or have had changes due to the pandemic, even prior to the pandemic, the opportunity to be outside, outdoors in nature kind of provides a reset button for them. It provides them an opportunity to learn about a place and a space that's here. And additionally, it gives them an opportunity to understand what it is to take care of something and to make it last for years to come. So that whole message of stewardship and value of nature is why it's important to get kids outside and doing things outside.
Yeah, thank you, Jenny. To add to that, I think there's that whole piece where children being outside, connecting with nature and the outdoors, they're able to kind of see that the world exists beyond them, that they're just a component of, our earth and everything that it takes to exist. And they can tend to break that at certain ages, that egocentric view that they have on things, where it's, me and right now and what do I need? And they can start to see beyond themselves and how they fit into something that's bigger than just them, and seeing the community and how everything connects.
Yeah.
I think the importance of outdoor education, I think for one, it helps. For me, my first experience with outdoor education and my experience learning, as I was telling the panel earlier, going to camp for 2 weeks and getting away and being away from all that, being away from what I know, it helps you to think. It gives you a chance to think about where you are, where you come from, where, and the similarities, the likes, and the differences. That critical thinking, the critical analysis that children need to get in order to connect what it is they know with their lives, what it is that they're learning with their lives, what it is that they do, everything with them. So they have a connection, which is what we're all about, connecting, that aha moment to get them to see. And hopefully from that, we get leaders. We get future leaders that will take care of us, that will know how to take care of us, and that will have the resources and the ability and the wherewithal to think about what it is that we need for the better future. So that's why we need outdoor education, besides which is also just fun, and children need fun. We all need some fun in our lives. So
We all do. Yes. Yeah, thanks. Excellent. What came to mind was social determinants of health. All the research out there just shows that it's just good for you. It's good for the mind, good for the body. The bio and eco regulating of the nervous system. Something that I've been digging into recently, which is called soft fascination, is a way to kind of recoup the bandwidth that we've lost through technology and some of that, the obsession and distraction economy. So yeah, soft fascination has been something interesting to talk about with youth, and then to practice, to just stand outside and observe something and fully be there, bringing in all the periphery, the sounds of the birds, and going from something micro to something micro, and just zooming in and checking out a leaf and spending some time there. And I think this other part of the question was outdoor education and school outside, if there was much of a difference. And it feels like what I've seen and what I'm hearing is it like outdoor education and school outside. When I think school outside, I'm thinking about like your math lesson and your English lesson, but outside. And then outdoor ed, sometimes people think that's like, the caterpillar and the mountain and the water. So yeah, in a way there is outdoor ed, that is education about the outdoors and the natural environment. And then you totally can, though, interweave in poetry, short stories about those landscape functions, abiotic, biotic features on the landscape. You can do math. You can count your macroinvertebrates in the river, and then make look at data from the previous year, and do some of your statistical questions. So in a way, yes, to both.
If I could just tag on to what Esmeralda was saying, for many of our students, these experiences are low risk, low stakes. And what I mean by that is that we're so focused in education as a teacher around testing, state testing, state mandated tests. You've got to pass the writing test, you've got to pass the reading test, you've got to pass the math test. And this is not about that at all. And that brings about an amazing freedom for kids to explore and learn in a very safe and low risk setting, where you can tie in poetry and writing and reading and math and science with very low risk to them feeling like they're not going to succeed or not pass something, which is super important to many of our students.
Here's a follow-up question that just came in from the audience. I think actually would be good. The question is, when introducing students to equity in nature, and then particularly they're noting K through 5th middle school, what is the key message that you try to teach as equity is, oh no, now it moved, is so important, yet approaches can be approached in so many different ways. So want to throw that as a follow-up question to the panel.
I can start just about, for equity being access for all, no limits to who can have the opportunity and who can be in nature. So providing access for all and an opportunity for all to be there that's equity. That's equity in a nutshell in nature, right? So we can provide that by giving kids an opportunity to be in nature whenever possible and experience whenever possible, no matter if you have physical limitations, language limitations. Those are also opportunities to get kids out in nature.
Yeah, I think another, component of the equity is bringing the awareness to all people that, nature's free and you just need to look for it, right? It may just be your backyard, sitting outside on a sunny day, feeling the heat of the sun and watching the clouds in the sky, or it can be, making them aware of like the cat buses that go to the trailheads in the gorge, that they can get to some of these places on their own, and where we have trails and things like that that are within walking distance in a lot of our neighborhoods in the gorge. So just making them aware of where these things are, and where some of the beaches are on the river that are safe to go down and wade into the river, and where it may not be as safe to do things like that. So I think just showing them and like opening their eyes to what's around it's an easy thing for families to do together. That's one thing I've seen like at like Tucker Park and Tollbridge Park. You see lots of families that stereotypically you might say like, oh, I wouldn't have expected them to be down by the river. And it's something they do together and they enjoy, and they can connect. And fishing is something that a lot of our families enjoy and take part in. And again, there's that connection of having nature provide for their well-being. So
I think, thank you, Adrienne, for sharing that. I think with the question, I think something to remember that, asking about equity and remembering that even outdoor education is not always equitable, and recognizing that, even though you can go outside and learn, not everybody has that accessibility and has that resource to do that if you don't have a home, if you don't have a place to go to learn to do that. So the equity aspect can be difficult in teaching that, and also in the technology getting out to people and learning about it, which is also, or transportation for some just to come out to your park, just to get out there or come to your area. These are some of the barriers that we face. So equity, trying to teach that with the kids starts sometimes with what we have and where we are. I teach, recognizing that, that when we want to help communities, we have to be able to help them in all ways, and not just a linear approach to it, but more of a cyclical relational view, that we have to look at all the factors that can keep people from coming to the park or coming to learning from outdoor education. And remember that and putting those in our program. So for example, with we have a culture camp that we put on in the summertime in conjunction with our summer camps. And these camps were specifically for kids that didn't have a chance to come to experience camp in the summer. And so this was something that we worked hard to get grants for, so we could provide them with the opportunity. If they could get out to the park, we will provide them with a free camp. We will provide them with meals that they need to have the whole, because you have to hit it holistically. You have to hit it all, the meals, programming, resources, all of that, so that they can experience it and have it without any hindrance, without any obstacles. Hunger being a big thing for a lot of children in order to appreciate what we have. And that worked out for us. And that worked out. It was a wonderful thing that we were able to do, but that is not always equitable. They can't get that all the time. So we have to try to find ways to make sure, working to get extra money so that we have the things that the students need. If you need a backpack, if you need boots, if you need some clothing, because you just to be outside, these are the things to help to make that equitable for kids. And so they can understand and see that. And then, of course, in our curriculums and the things that we do, making sure that we try to address all cultures, all needs, and try as best we can, recognizing that we just can't always take a Western European approach to looking at our curriculums, but looking at it through traditional lenses. Some of my colleagues have mentioned some of using indigenous knowledge and using indigenous traditional education. These are the things that we can put in there and getting to the kids to understand that through not just having to beat it in about equity, just making it a part of what they learn, just through kind of osmosis. So these are one of the ways. And of course, when we have to address it, we have to also address the issues that come. We know that children are sponges. They pick up on everything. So in our approach and our education, we may have to address some things to make it equitable, because we want kids not to feel uncomfortable. Kids may say something that may make you uncomfortable, may make another child uncomfortable. Now this is other lessons. This is the approach. Outdoor education allows us to address all of these things, in a cyclical way, in a holistic way. So.
Yeah, I think piggybacking off of that, just real quick, what comes to mind is small is all, something Adrienne Brown wrote in Emergent Strategy. And getting transportation is such a barrier. So the opportunities that we can, with juvenile hall youth in particular, like we're in a facility, we go maybe into the front yard on occasion. I bring things in like sand, something that kind of was a spillover from informal outings with Klickitat youth, where because of the heat wave, we weren't able to go on our Deschutes River trip. So we pivoted to just some white salmon beach trips, and the repetition and the idea of small is all, and going to the beach, playing in the sand, playing in the water, and coming back over and over again. It's an easy kind of access, and it's something that we can build on. We're building comfort, playing in the water. Not all of our youth are learned how to swim, are still, looking to get that in their life. So we have our life vests, and we're staying in the shallow water, and we're just kind of like creating some comfort. Playing with sand has been like a metaphor that we return to, and that we can build on. And I think that came to mind with this question. Thanks.
As a follow-up, and this came up in our rehearsal discussion, so I know as Naldo and a number of the panels will have thoughts on this, but so we have a question from the audience that noted that as we've seen side effects of technology over time, that attention spans are getting shorter, engagement's getting challenging as our world speeds up with technology, which is ironic because we're all on a webinar right now. How does that affect connecting kids with nature? Are there ways that you can combine the two or not? We'd love to hear the panel kind of talk about their thoughts and approaches that you've seen work or not in your experience.
We don't use very much technology in our camp because we're outside touching the sand and playing in the water, touching the bugs, doing what Esnaldo said, we do. The only technology we use are handheld, not microscopes. What am I thinking of?
Magnifying glass?
Magnifying glasses. Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's how, like, not technology. I mean, there are ones you can plug into your computer now, I guess, that work really well, but we don't use those either. I'm always impressed at how tactile kids like to be. They love doing those art projects where you look so closely at a plant that you're just drawing like a tiny little part of the seed and a great big thing. And you don't even need anything more than a handheld magnifying glass to look at that. So I'm not saying it's never a part of our thing, but kids don't seem to miss it. Granted, I'm working mostly with third graders going into fourth grade, so they're not as obsessed with their cell phones as the middle school generation is, but we really don't touch them all week. And then to the other extent is access, making access available for a lot of these students too. We have to make our program free and accessible, and we have to provide transportation to all of those things, and we have to provide food. And yes, exactly what Jonathan said, you have to make those things available and to make the program equitable for all. So that's the same thing. No technology. We don't want kids there with technology because we want them to experience the outside and nature. And I don't think their attention spans are less because of that.
Yeah, if I could jump in real quick here, with the youth that I'm working with, they are 15 to about 17, and they are heavily engaged in phone use. So what I think a couple things when it comes to peer circle, facilitating, co-creating our agreements, like what do we want in our circle, what do we not want in our circle, and how do we manage that so that it comes from the youth themselves. And there's awareness of their phones. So in one-on-one conversations, they're like, I'm distracted, or I actually need, like, the audio helps me, listening to my music helps me feel calm. And the youth that are in our programs are referred by schools. So they're kind of at a place in their life where they're looking for something stable, or, some of that structure and support, anxiety, depression, things like that. So we've instituted kind of like a landing activity where we have a song, and I have in one group, a youth is our DJ, and we have a kind of like a theme of like what kind of instrument we're going to listen to, but like, let's listen to a song, 3 minutes, play it, and this is the beginning of our session and our circle, and then after that, then we'll start our conversation. In other circles, I'm the DJ and I bring in music. We have like what do you like? Okay, what is that similar to? I want to like introduce you to Vivaldi, the violin, the Four Seasons. There's just some beautiful music that kind of resonates with some of the other melodic, with hip hop, with whatever youth are listening to. So in a way, we've created space for technology to be present, and then also encouraged youth to co-design the photograph. Like, we're going to take a picture. How would you like that to be? Like, this is your picture. We're still working on that, but we've had some success with juvenile hall youth, where obviously we can't photograph faces. So just putting it out there, what would you want? Like, what is something that you want to see? So there's a lot of creative ideas. Some youth opt out completely, and choice is important. So like, yeah, totally respect that. no pressure. We do a lot of put your foot in the circle and take a picture, and that's kind of like a head count of who is here. We've created a circle, or get a picture of this tree, and so we'll get a tree, everyone looking at the tree, just whatever comes to mind. Otherwise, there is some apps which I haven't had an opportunity to use for identifying plants, and then like geolocating. We haven't gotten there, but that's definitely a way to kind of bring the technology in to the exploration and tech. Jonathan, I think you were about to.
For our camps, we don't use a lot of technology because we don't feel it's necessary. We want to, I think for us is more of how do you curb the tech talk. So talking about Minecraft, talking about everything, TikTok videos, and talking all of that. I think that's more of a challenge to get their minds off of it. It's easy to do with 7 to 12-year-olds. You can easily take take the phones away or whatever. So the only technology we kind of allow my staff to use, they might use their phones for the same thing. They'll have a plant identification app on their phone when they're going on a hike, or they may use their phone to play some music when we're doing crafts, because sometimes that works. But other than that, we don't watch movies. We don't need to have them on computer things. We don't need to have microscopes. We have very nice, inexpensive magnifying glasses, and they'll use those all day. Or if we have binoculars, they'll use those. That's the type of technology we want them to use. But we don't have that. We don't have that issue because we don't write it into our curriculum. We try to make our curriculum technology free as best we can, and have them learn a traditional way. That's it. I'm sorry. There was someone at the camp door. So yes.
Yeah, I think one thing I would add for GEO and our programs, a lot of ours are partnered with the schools, whether it's during the school day or after school programs. And so I think technology gets brought in for us, not necessarily during the hands-on time when the GEO staff might be there doing the experiential learning, but kind of back when the students return to the classroom where they're, exploring a little more deeply, like researching plants, animals, ecosystems, things like that they're learning about, so that they can just get even more background knowledge on the things that they're seeing. Again, because we're partnering with the schools, there's projects and writing assignments and things like that. So the kids are using iPads and that to kind of show their learning, and to be able to present or create projects, slideshows, written essays, things like that. And as well as, knowing that there is that place with the identification apps, and a little bit to teach the kids of how to use your technology for safety when out in nature, of maps, how to use those things, how to know your location, teaching them to tell someone if you're going for a hike, like, when you'll be back and those types of things. So there's ways to appropriately incorporate it, but definitely spot on with Jonathan on getting them to stop talking about their tech. Is definite, that's their interest, and they just want to, oh, this is like Minecraft, oh, these are like this, and it's like, yeah, but but these are the real thing.
That's actually a great segue for the next question. Jonathan was talking about trying to get past the distraction so he can engage the kids with nature, and just wanted to have a chance to have all the panelists talk about the many ways that the COVID-19 pandemic has affected your outdoor education programming, both challenges as well as opportunities you're seeing with the kids in the schools and the communities that you're working with.
I can start. So GEO was able to maintain some of its programs, not all, through COVID and through the school closures. They were able to provide some CDL, like Secrets was done over the internet. They created videos, things like that for the kids to watch. And then when it was appropriate, we were able to do some in-person, those field trips that typically would have been more traveling, going out to the Mount Hood National Forest, seeing something that maybe isn't super close to where they live. We were able to pivot, figure it out. Transportation was a massive issue in the Hood River County school districts, and I think probably in most school districts last year and this year. So busing was like, nope, not an option. Can't get a bus to go on a field trip. So we did a lot of walking, and I'm also a principal at one of the schools that GEO supports and partners with, and our kiddos were able to walk across to Thunder Island in Cascade Locks on the Columbia and do their ecosystem secrets field trip right there, which to me is almost more powerful, that they got to all of these concepts they were studying, get to see how they affect where they are, versus like driving an hour up to Mount Hood to somewhere that's like different. So most of the field trips were done within walking distance. Some of them were on site at the schools, just on their playgrounds or the grounds on the sides of the buildings, because the playgrounds were being taken up by cohorts of recess and things like that. So I know that was one way that GEO pivoted, was just kind of being super flexible, being willing to create videos, think outside the box, that maybe this isn't what we would ideally be doing technology lessons and through the computer, but it was better than nothing, and it was able to maintain our partnerships to be able to now, as things can be in person, just pick up kind of where we left off before COVID.
Yeah, for us, COVID changed how we did some of our programming. One, it also gave us a chance to look at our mission and look at our vision and look at how we change things for a new world, a new changing world that we were going into. So for us, when we were allowed to start to have camps and have our programming back, we decided we needed to cut back. We still had to, we wanted to serve the community, but we couldn't have all the programs. So we got rid of our half-day program and our counselor and training program, and we just focused on our full-day program. And so we had 400 kids over this past summer, 400 kids, 8 weeks, and a total of 400 plus kids. So we had a busy summer, a very busy summer, but we cut back in our class size. We cut back into the amount in terms of what we did. Everything was more outdoors. Here at Tryon, we do have a nature center, we have a classroom, but we made that kind of a last resort. Do everything outside, do as much as you can outside, do your activities outside, maintaining, we still had our COVID protocols. Everybody wears a mask indoors and outdoors. We still try to do our 6 feet separation as best you can with a bunch of kids, and of course, when they interact, you can only do so much when they interact, but it proved successful for us. We didn't have any issues with COVID this summer. We also, in terms of our registration, how kids came to us, we did a staggering registration. So we had 2 different times of registration. So as per our guidelines, we could only have so many kids in the area. So we had three classes come in, and then we started with the next 2 classes. So we were able to do that for pickup and for drop off and pickup. So we were, we had to lose some of our programs for now, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to come back. But for now, safety is our first key. You have to be safe. You have to want people to be comfortable, and we still follow the practice of guidelines because we are partnered with OPRD, Oregon State Park. So they say we need to have masks, and that's their guide. That's what we do, and we enforce that, and it worked. And we didn't have the same feedback. We didn't have negative feedback that we thought we might have. There might be 1 or 2 parents that complain, but for the most part, everybody complied. Because again, we offer the service, your kids are out here, all we're asking, just put a mask on, and it worked. So.
Yeah, GEO Explorers Camp kind of went through a little bit of, we morphed a little bit. We used to run a 5-week program from about 8 in the morning till noon. And many years parents had been asking us, can you make your program day a little bit longer? It's, you know, it would really help. My student really liked attending your program, but could you make the day longer? And we kind of had this system that we felt was kind of working. And then when COVID happened, we decided to shorten the camp time to 2 weeks and then make it a full day camp. And it's really, really kind of benefited and worked really well. It's helped us in many regards. It's helped families, which is who we're serving anyway, and the students. And then it kind of helped us realize that we could still have the same kind of content and reach, and do it in a kind of a condensed, more kind of targeted way, and still kind of teach the things that we wanted to teach, and really have the exposure. What happened a lot was not only would we have parents that wanted kids to stay later, but we would also lose kids as the summer went on. So for 5 weeks, we would have like 40 kids in, you know, the first week, and then it might be 35. And then the rest of the time, because we ran into July and holidays and such and traveling, we would get, you know, 20, half. So this, because we do it 2 weeks and it's more intense, we have a tendency to get, you know, 30 kids, and 30 kids stay for the whole 2 weeks, which is excellent. And then the other thing that happened, that's really great. The first year of 2020, we did a 2-week camp, and we only had about 10 students attend. And that had to do a lot with spacing and needing to space kids out and not having the space at the Discovery Center to house kids. And then when the protocols kind of changed for 2021, we can enroll more students and have more students attend. But like Jonathan said, this rules where you have to wear a mask inside and out, and you have to be spaced. And the only time that we didn't was when we were in an area that was, you know, really outside. When we went to Mayor State Park and we were on the water, we didn't require the kids to have masks on when they were swimming. But kids complied, parents complied, and no one complained, and it was successful. So that was good.
As a follow-on question, I wanted to ask the panel, this question's come up in a couple of different ways in the Q&A. And I know, having the chance to work with the various organizations, I've heard about a lot of the creative partnerships that you all use to make your programs happen. But the question was, how do you get new teachers and schools involved and engaged in outdoor education programs, particularly if they're feeling like they're lacking in times and energy and resources? I know a lot of educators in schools are feeling, particularly now with the pandemic. So any thoughts the panel have on that question, and any examples with like any creative partnering that you guys are doing? I think folks would love to hear about that.
Well, I can tell you as a teacher in Northwesco, creative partnering is with GEO. GEO partners with us, and they provide the curriculum, and they provide the opportunity for teachers connect. So it's very little energy on the teacher's part of having to create curriculum. They do it all, and it's engaging, and it's rich, and it's fun, and kids are experiencing things. So, you know, a lot of the stress from teachers comes with okay, well, you've got to do this, and you have to have this done, and you have to test for this, and you have to prepare kids to do this. And Adrienne's like, yeah, I know, it's my day. But you know, partnering with organizations like GEO that can help come in and lead it, and then give opportunities for extension of what the kids are learning within, like a program like Secrets is excellent. And there's no better opportunity for kids to feel connected and engaged, but then when they're doing something, and they're doing something that they enjoy. So it's easy that way.
Yeah, I think, the fact that with our programs, we're coming in and we're providing that service. And then I think there's that, we have things that are at certain grade levels, and we've worked really hard to get our programs in almost all schools at some point in the greater Gorge, and kids kind of look forward to it. Like the Secrets program's like a rite of passage, that they look forward to doing the the big like play presentation where they're all dressed up and acting out the different organisms and parts of the ecosystem and doing their chants and evaporation dances and everything. And so I think that's been a big factor in when parents ask about, like, how's your day? The kids talk about our programs. Those are things they remember and they highlight. And, when they go on, like, outdoor school is another thing that's like a big deal. Like 6th grade, you get to go to outdoor school. And again, it creates these memories these kids have. They go on to high school. We've had volunteer workers and things that have done Gorge Explorers. They've done Secrets. They went to outdoor school. Now they're adults and they're coming back and volunteering in the program. And so I think that just consistency, not trying to do too much or too many different things, has helped with that kind of just, I don't want to call it branding, but just, people know what it is, and we really want them to look forward to those programs. One thing is that we found at Geo is people know the programs, but they might not know the word Geo. So they're like, oh, Secrets, yeah, oh, that's you. So those are things that we're trying to make sure that people know that all of these programs are connected. But yeah, I think being that consistent, we support financially. So we work with schools on an individual basis for figuring out how are we going to fund it. And there's, some grants fund it for certain schools, some PTOs fund it for certain schools, private donors fund it, and we work together to do those things. So I think keeping that communication open, that like, you want it, let's work together. We're going to figure out a way to offer it.
Yeah, for us, our field trips are really easy for the teachers. We've created the curriculum, we've created the themes. We have for various ages. So we have a 3 to 5 year old curriculum, we have a K to 2 curriculum, and we have a 3 to 5 curriculum. And it's based on whether or not you want to come for 2 hours or 4 hours. We have all the curriculum. So if you stay all day and have your lunch, then you have an afternoon component. But everything is designed to really kind of help the teacher, so this is in conjunction with whatever they're learning. They have to let us know what it is that they'd like to learn, give us a theme, and then we have our different curriculum that will fit with that. They don't have to do any pre-planning or pre-lesson planning unless they choose to. They don't have to write a curriculum for this trip. We have it all. And the only thing that we ask when we get there is that, with you and your chaperones, if you're the teacher, not to be on your phones and to be engaged, to be there to help us, because it's not our job for discipline. It's not our job for disruptive behavior, for things like that, for redirecting of activities. We do some of that sometimes when the kids get out of hand, but get out of hand and get too excited. Let me say, I won't say get out of hand, but get too excited. We try to find ways to bring them back and direct, but that's really up to the instructor. That's up to the chaperones. We're doing everything else. And the good thing about it is, it's not like we have state standards that we have to do our lessons to. We're not creating lessons to a test. We're not creating lessons for whatever curriculum that we don't like, for whatever school system that is. We won't put names, but we don't have to do that. We have the autonomy to really create and to really get involved and give them good lessons, good quality activities, and a good experience. And when they come to the park, and all we ask is we even give we work with the fee. We do charge a slight fee to some of the schools, but we work on a scale. So schools, Title I schools of low income, we drop that down to almost nothing. So we're doing as best we can. The only thing that we cannot do is provide transportation. You know, that is, I think, is the number one difficulty for most, is the transportation. So we can't provide that, unfortunately. Wish we could, but we can't. But we can get you everything else if you can get out here. We don't, because of COVID, we weren't going to the schools and like taking stuff to the schools. We're very much a place-based organization, a place-based park. So trying to take the creek to the school doesn't work. You know, I'm sitting there putting it in a bucket, say, here's the creek, picture all the other stuff. It just doesn't do, it's not the same. You know, they have to be here to really be able to appreciate and to gain that relationship. So we do everything we can.
Actually, that's great. That's a great segue to a question that we talked about in the rehearsal that I wanted to throw out to the panel, which, I mean, as we know, outdoor education opportunities can really vary a lot by school and neighborhood. And just wanted to hear the panel talk about some of the challenges, both and opportunities that they face in working with either schools or kids that are coming from either more diverse or lower income or combination therein, but just wanted to hear the panel talk a little bit about some of the opportunities and challenges in dealing with just the variation you see with.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. I just wanted to say I'm having a great time in the Q&A responding to a lot of the participants, so keep writing those in. We're sharing information in there. Yeah, and this kind of ties to an earlier question as I've been reflecting, something I wanted to add about that one takeaway. And within CultureSeed, the mission has been morphing and adapting, but the one that I really like and real simple is connect to nature, connect to self, and connect to others. And so keeping it simple and checking in on those three things in my 2 hours or 4 hours with the youth group. How are we connecting to nature? How are we connecting to self? How are we connecting to others? Additionally, with COVID, I wasn't here during that time, but what I understand is that there was a pivot to walks, like I think Adrienne or Jenny had said that was where they were able to pick up some of the lack. And with in relation to this question in particular, with the youth that we serve at CultureSeed, during COVID, youth and families, typically youth are coming from a single family household. And so COVID wasn't just the illness, but it affected jobs, it affected the family income, which also occasionally is there's maybe one vehicle. And so that vehicle is used for work. When it comes to youth, getting to programming, it put kind of a heavier, and still is a heavier load right now on transportation, where our protocols have changed. And so we are, following all the procedures, wearing masks, windows open, no more than 2 youth in a car. It just really adds extra barriers and opportunity to be creative and also look to community for some support. We are currently running a fundraising opportunity right now for a van. So I'll put that plug. We're working our way towards 30K, and we're looking at about 5 to 10 right now with some partnerships. So go to our website and donate. But yeah, I'll open it up to the rest of the panel. The question was about our varying demographics and how those challenges and sometimes are also opportunities. Thanks.
I do know, oh, sorry, Jonathan.
Go ahead.
Ahead of you. We really focus on serving our underserved populations, our language learners for our camp. We want to be able to be open for all and provide equity for all. So We try to provide ways for all to have a way to get to camp. Since we're supported through the school district, we provide a bus that goes to all of the elementary schools and picks them up every morning and brings them back every afternoon. And that's so helpful. And so attendance is usually an issue in areas in high poverty areas. And in the school that I serve with, the Title I school that I work at, is very high poverty. We're 96% free and reduced lunch. So transportation is a huge issue, and getting kids to camp is we have to provide that, else we wouldn't have the attendance that we have. And we engage students in the learning that's fun and hands-on, so they want to come back the next day. We provide them with breakfast. It's more like a snack kind of breakfast thing, and then lunch and other snacks throughout the day. We encourage them through positive interactions with their parents. We use an application called Remind, which is I guess I didn't say that I didn't use technology, right? I use a little bit of technology to connect with parents, and then just say, like, just give them a short little video of something that we did that day, or something. This is a word your child learned today. Here's what it means, and here's how it's connecting to their life and what they have. And parents love it because they can see their kids in action. It's a little video, and they can watch it on the app on their cell phone. We try to do everything to make it just a positive, rich, fun, low stakes experience that, and then providing transportation and food and, activities for the day certainly makes it so that it's worthwhile for parents and students.
Thanks, Jenny. As I said before, our biggest obstacle is transportation, getting out to our park, and when you want to reach all communities, but it's very difficult when you're all the way on the other end and people can't get out there. But I think something else that, another obstacle that is it's a difficult one, but trust. People have to trust you and have to trust your organization. If they've had experiences in the, say coming out to the park and had bad experiences in the past, that may hinder them from wanting to come back again. And traditionally, not everybody feels welcome from coming on the other side of the river, coming over. Not everybody feels that way. So trust. Traditionally, we all know the history. Portland is not Portland, like every other place around the United States, has had a lot of history in terms of dealing with race, in terms of dealing with not including folk, not being inclusive. So there's that's deeply rooted in there, and that's historic, and that's something that's coming back from years. So we're trying to also counteract years of abuse, sometimes you could call it, to try to change all of that. So there's also that component you have to think of and think about. But when we have kids there, when we have the kids who are able to get there, we make sure, again, we provide backpacks, we provide lunches, we provide snacks, just provide things, water bottles, keeping the needs that they need, that they keep their needs going. This summer, we kept coolers of water. We have so many water bottles for kids in need. If you lost one, here's one. So you always have. You lose something, we keep clothes in our classroom for kids. If they get muddy or have their accidents, whatever, we have things for them to keep them going. So these are the things that you have to do, but you just got to remember there's the outside influences that sometimes we can control and sometimes we cannot control, which can be difficult. But as long as we try to give them what they need when we're here, that's the best what we can do. Give them what we need and provide for them while we're here and with what we have. So.
And actually, that's a great segue for our last question. As we're coming to the end of our time, I want to thank all of our panelists. We will share contact information in the chat box for all of our panelists and the organizations that they represent. And as this is giving season, I do want to put in plug all the organizations here: CultureSeed, Gorge Ecology Outdoors, Friends of Tryon Creek. They're doing awesome work. So if you're thinking of a group you might want to give a little extra love to over the next couple of weeks. There's 3 great groups right here represented tonight. But wanted to ask each of the panelists to, as you know, these have been trying times over the past couple years. But I mean, when you think about all of the kids, all the experiences that you've worked with, what's your favorite experience? Something that every time you think about it, always kind of makes you smile when you think about an outdoor education experience that you worked on.
Yeah, hey, I'll since I'm already off mute, excellent question. Me within photographs. So like the pictures that we take, we've been thinking about how the photos for the youth first, for their family second, and then for the community third. And so after outings, we've been sending the photo album to the parents. So that it's reciprocal, right? We're not always just hitting people up for waivers. And yeah, so after sharing that, I'll say, to answer your question, I think of when going to the beach, White Salmon Beach, with a few of the young men from our Click Attack cohort. One in particular was leaving to Mexico for the summer. And so it felt like before he left, kind of requested that we go to the beach. This was informal and youth guided, youth directed. So I just let them know we could do stuff like go here, 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 make a day of it. Let me know when you'd like to go. And so they started like hitting me up on Wednesdays and Fridays. So we kind of made it a regular thing. As we got close to him leaving, he wanted to go to the beach more. And there was like a lot of goodbye going on, just informally, you know, and I was just really there kind of hanging out, making sure everyone's wearing a vest, putting on sunscreen, has a water bottle, and, you know, doing my own watercolors or playing in the water too alongside. But at one point he wanted to be buried in the sand. And there was like a lot of just gentle, tender care going on between 15 and 16-year-old boys that are, you know, listening to all kinds of music and, you know, saying all kinds of vulgar things on occasion that we have to course correct. But in this moment, it was like, can you bury me in the beach? And like, can you scratch my nose? And can you block the sun from my eyes? And it was beautiful. And I think when he returned, it was the same thing. And when he got back a month later, he's like, can we go back to the beach? And there was difference. There was a lot of space and time that had occurred, but I think we were there for maybe 4 or 5 hours until we came back to like you know, like you're home now. Like definitely still talking about Mexico for a good 3 weeks, but like now this is you're back on our beach, and it was beautiful, and that's going to stick with me for a long time. Thanks.
Well, Esmeralda, I love it. You know, my kind of highlight story is from when I was a teacher. I worked as a special education teacher in Hood River, and Gio worked at partnered at the school that I worked with, and getting to see, you know, the kiddos that I worked with who struggle just day in, day out with academics, reading, writing, math. You know, they're the kiddos that work the hardest out of anybody. You know, it's not the ones necessarily getting the straight A's, it's the ones working really hard just to do basic things. And seeing their, like, the leveled playing field when they were doing secrets and they were able to retain all of that information. They could recite the songs and the mnemonic you know, devices and things that they've learned, like, to a T. So proud when they got up on the stage and had their part, just like everybody else, that they memorized and they went up and did. And seeing them be, you know, this is my admin hat here, successful in the state tests, passing or getting near passes on the science Oregon State assessment, which is not easy. And I credit that to some of the programs because they are able to teach the kids in a way that they remember and that it sticks with them and they can apply it. And so I think that's the seeing it firsthand of, those kids that things are not, that don't come easy to them are able to be successful when they're taught in these different modes of learning. So.
There are so many great experience with kids. I kind of don't know where to start, but one of my favorites from this past summer was a student, had to do with water as well on the beach. We are at Mayor State Park, which is a great place if you're ever in the gorge to get even on a windy day, because it's very sheltered there. And we brought the kids swimming, and I had sent a remind message about don't forget your bathing suit, and if you have one, and a towel. And he showed up and of course didn't have a bathing suit, didn't have a towel, and said, oh, he just kind of stood on the beach and just stood there and watched all the other kids, squealing and laughing and trying out paddle boards and going on Drew's raft and having a great time. And I said, do you want to get in the water? And he's like, I don't have any, I don't really have a bathing suit. I said, I'll just go in kind of knee deep. And I said, okay, well, that's a good start. Just kind of wade. And I kind of stood there with him. He had a life vest on because I was like, you have to wear a life vest when you're in there. And he said, okay. And then, I kind of turned my back and was talking to somebody or helping somebody else find something. And he was, hip deep. And then he was chest deep. And then he was just in it, and came out of the water with just this biggest smile, just giant, like taking up his whole face. I was like, you got in, buddy, you got in. And he was like, yeah, now I'm cold. So I had to get it. No, but he stayed in the water, and he was the last kid out of the water. And for him to have that experience, and he said he'd never again ever been in or near the Columbia River, even though he lived so close to it, was so powerful. And I hope that it's a memory that he has. It's a memory I have, and just that smile was amazing.
I guess end it with me on this one. I'll be fast on there because these are some good stories. Mine is very short, but it touched me this summer during our culture camp. It was my job to make the lunches for the kids. And so, we had different things. We had peanut butter jelly, we had our turkey sandwiches and stuff. And I'd gone out and gotten their lunches, gotten things for them to put in their lunch. And I thought I was being kind of giving them, a simple lunch, but I didn't realize how much of the creating that lunch, what it did, how much gratitude I got from the kids, how many kids were thanking me for the lunch. Some of this is the best lunch they had, and kids wanting to request it. We only had certain kids that needed lunches, and then all of a sudden all the kids wanted these lunches. And specifically with the young men in the group, we had some young men with some hard kind of behaviors. They were trying to get them to focus and stuff. And at one point, I just kind of took them with me and had them working with me. And we were doing everything from some bridge building, doing some activities. But they sat and told me, Mr. Hayden, we like your lunch, Mr. Crabapple, that's my nature name that I use, Crabapple, that they love the lunches, and that these are the best lunches that they ever had, and that they didn't expect this. They expected just to get a sandwich. A simple sandwich. I put a sandwich, some chips, some fruit snacks. I put things in there, put a little love in there, but I thought it was a cheap lunch to give them something inexpensive. But to them, it was the world, and it was because I put the time in it to give them the lunch. I made sure I took the orders for what they wanted. So I got them the order. So if they didn't want mayonnaise, there was no mayonnaise. They didn't, if they want jelly, extra jelly, we put all that on there, gave it to how they wanted it, to the point that the young men at the end, these are 9, 10, 11-year-old boys. They wanted to help me make the lunches for everybody else. And so one of the last days that we had, I actually had them in here, and we had a table in the station, and we made the lunches together, watching them make lunches, which was funny because one young man, his lunches weren't exactly what I would say presentable. He kind of had a little trouble with the peanut butter, and we were like, those are yours, you can keep those. But they really wanted to make the lunches for the kids, and they wanted to put that smile on their face too. And I was like, that was a moment for me that, for the summer, that these young men here, they really appreciated that. And they really wanted to show that back to everybody else. And I just felt that's the connections. That's the connections that we want to make. And one of the young men, he got some jalapenos from his mother's garden. She got them for him. He brought that as a gift. He was like, this is just to say thank you. And I was like, oh, that just made my connection. Made my day to make that connection with him, and also to get some jalapenos, because I like jalapenos. So, but to get that and to have that connection, to know that they'll remember that, and that when we do this next year, they'll want to come back. And it's hopefully they'll want, as they get older, they'll want to come and learn. And I can train them to become counselors, train them to become instructors, giving back, the reciprocity piece. So that's my story.
Well, that's a great segue, because I think a lot of folks are probably getting hungry now. With that, I would like to wrap up for the evening and thank our panelists, not only for helping us think through and put together this presentation, for all the knowledge and wisdom you shared tonight, but for everything that you do every day. Again, thank you to CultureSeed, Friends of Tryon Creek, Gorge Ecology Outdoors. We hope this is a conversation we hope to continue. So we had a lot of ideas in coming up with this that we were able to cover tonight. So please stay tuned for more. And would like to thank all of you who took the time to join us tonight and spend some time. So we'll let you go so you can spend some time with your family and maybe have some peanut butter or some jalapenos yourself. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank two of my colleagues, Melissa Gonzalez, who's actually telecommuting from the East Coast, so we're getting pretty late, who's on the back end. She's our outdoor programs and community communications specialist. And I also would like to thank Cassie Delgado, our new community engagement specialist, helping in planning this event, who manages our public events. She also manages our outdoor youth work here at Friends. So I want to thank them, even though you didn't see them tonight. This wouldn't have been possible without their assistance. So thank you to everybody. Hope to have more of these discussions. Look for the webinar post on our YouTube page, which also our partners will to post the video. And then again, if you have any questions, didn't get the contact information, feel free to send us an email at Friends. We'll connect you with the speakers. And thank you, everybody, and wishing everyone a great evening and a great almost Veterans Holiday weekend.
Thank you.
Happy Veterans Day.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Take care.
Thank you for all the hard work, everyone.
Yeah.
See you out there.
Bye.